The kind of damage control that the government has been trying to do hasn't really helped out here. I'm standing just meters away from the Nepal parliament, and this is the second day of the deadly protest that erupted. More than 20 people died and more than 500 have been injured till now. If I can move a little further, you can see the Nepali police in riot gear that has been deployed in one of the areas just merely 100 meters away from the Nepal parliament. There are hundreds and hundreds of protesters who have come down here. You can see the visuals. They are holding placards. They want KP Sharma Oli, the Prime Minister, to resign. They're saying that the resignation of the Home Minister is not going to help at this stage. Very, very angry, people, visuals coming in on the screen of the riot gear police getting up. In fact, if I can pan and show you, more deployments are taking place now. These are live visuals coming on your screens of the Nepal police and the riot gear police here in Kathmandu being deployed here in one of the corner areas. This clearly signifies, what the situation really is on this second day. If I can ask Prem to pan and show you, this is the boundary wall of the Nepal parliament. Just meters ahead is the main entrance of the Nepal parliament that was breached yesterday. In fact, the protesters are now demanding that the corruption, the alleged corruption that KP Sharma Oli has been embroiled in, and that's why there should be a resignation and nothing less than that. Thousands of youth have converged here outside the Nepal parliament yet again for the second straight day. You can see a charged up crowd demanding justice, saying that merely lip service of a committee being created to investigate the killing of nearly 20 youth, including a 12-year-old, and then more than 500 injured, is not going to suffice at this stage. There needs to be accountability and transparency at the very highest level. It does seem that KP Sharma Oli is completely embroiled right now in this massive controversy, and it's not merely left to the social media ban. Apart from that, I can tell you that two senior ministers, including the Home Minister and the Agriculture Minister of Nepal, have resigned, and that too hasn't really calmed the tempers. Here on ground in Kathmandu, it does seem that this is going to be a second straight day of violence, of clashes here outside the Nepal parliament, even though the government here in Nepal is trying to see and weigh in their options.
Right. As we are seeing these visuals behind you, Aditya, the situation remains quite tense. Now the demand of these protesters is the resignation of the Prime Minister, who at least projects himself as a strong man as far as the politics of Nepal is concerned. Has there been any other statement from the Prime Minister himself? And also, Aditya, because you've covered these protests in other neighboring countries as well, it's somewhere similar to what suddenly happened in Bangladesh against Sheikh Hasina, with students coming out, and then we know what happened in Bangladesh.
Well, that's right, Ankit. What happened in Bangladesh last year, or before that in Sri Lanka, when you actually get a glimpse of what's happening right now outside the Nepalese parliament here in Kathmandu. There are thousands of people charged up. This is a leaderless movement. Imagine, these are youth who are upset with the social media ban, who are upset with the corruption, who are upset with no accountability and transparency, and that's why they've come out on the streets. I've been speaking to several of these youth at the parliament and at several hospitals who say there is no leader as such. Your question on Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli, he came out with a statement earlier this morning saying that he was hurt and upset with the killings that have happened, and that's why he has come out with a committee that will investigate this further. But I also interviewed Nepal's Information Minister Prithvi Gurung just a few minutes ago, who confirmed that KP Sharma Oli, the Prime Minister, is not going to resign, and in fact he appealed to the students to come to the dialogue table. The Prime Minister was ready to meet him and to take this conversation forward. He also said that there were some political forces here in Nepal who were trying to provoke these violent protests, and there were some anarchists that had led to the massive killings and protests yesterday. But here, right behind me, my video journalist Prem Singh showing you some very, very volatile visuals of the protesters completely charged up, holding banners and demanding justice and accountability from the government. They're saying nothing less than the resignation of KP Sharma Oli is going to help in this scenario. Apart from that, Ankit, also, there have been instances since early morning today of several leaders from the Communist Party, their houses being ransacked and gutted completely. That includes the house of Prachanda as well, a very popular leader here of the Communist Party. Apart from that, former Prime Minister Deoba's residence has been completely gutted. Local media has been reporting on that. So we'll have to wait and watch how things unfold. This is the second day of massive protests. And here, right behind me, it does seem that the situation is not going to calm down anytime soon unless the Prime Minister decides to do what could be in a few days inevitable.
All right, Aditya, while we are with you, but these are some live visuals coming in from some other parts of Kathmandu where stone pelting has erupted. There is stone pelting going on, and in response, tear gas is being used by the security forces to try and disperse the crowd. Like Aditya was saying, this is in fact a very difficult situation to manage for any government, where thousands of young people come out onto the streets and start protesting. I can see in these visuals a young girl being impacted by that tear gas. I've covered many of these visuals. It gets very, very difficult to breathe when tear gas shelling takes place, and the police, in fact, also using force there. These are visuals coming in from some parts of the capital city, Kathmandu. Aditya, it becomes a very difficult situation when you don't have a leader to speak to try and convince them to, in fact, normalize the situation, to ease the tensions. At this moment where you are standing, tension is building up. In other parts, there is stone pelting and also arson going on. Is there also a sense, at least from the government side, that possibly there have been people, those who want the return of the monarchy in Nepal, supporting this kind of a movement? Because we've been seeing some statements by Nepalese politicians who are trying to blame it on those who are supporters as well.
Well, that's right, Ankit. Tension is simmering in the capital city of Kathmandu. I really haven't seen in my visits to Nepal the amount of security forces or the paramilitary and the police and the army that have been deployed in Kathmandu. There are visuals of violence and arson from different parts of the city, and these are some very extraordinary, volatile visuals coming on your screens of the kind of situation that's developing here on NDTV exclusively. I'm actually going to another location very close to the main gate of the Nepal Parliament, where there's a huge, thick black smoke rising. There's been arson, there's been rioting in that area. We'll try to go a little closer, where thousands of people have converged, and perhaps in the next couple of hours they might be marching towards the parliament and try to enter the parliament. You saw the gory visuals that came in yesterday, where clearly there is no leader of this particular movement, but there are, people voluntarily coming out in thousands demanding accountability from the KP Sharma Oli government. When I interviewed the Information Minister of Nepal this morning, he told me that the Prime Minister was ready to meet the leaders, but there's no leader of this movement. In fact, now I've reached the main chowk of
our colleague Aditya while he reaches that spot and gets us the ringside view of what's happening in Nepal.
Nepal police and the paramilitary, the APF, that's in full force. You can also see a little behind, if Prem Singh can pan and show you visuals of this thick black plume of smoke on your screens, where clearly there's been rioting. Few public transport or some public things have been gutted, and that's what the situation is right now. Clashes have been reported in some areas, but there is barricading also. We'll try to move a little further ahead to get you a glimpse of what's happening here right outside the Nepal Parliament. The people here are protesting. They're angry, they're upset, and they're trying to burn things out. They're demanding justice. You can see there's been stone pelting also in this particular area. They're chanting slogans against KP Sharma Oli, and they're saying certainly they will not budge unless there is resignation from KP Sharma Oli. You can see tires that have been burnt in this particular area, and they are demanding justice. Let me try and speak to some of these people. क्या मांगे आप लोगों की?
Yeah, what are you saying?
What is your demand?
We are demanding for corruption, not to do corruption, for legal, everything have to be legal in our country. We don't have to do anything else. We have to give just have freedom, justice for the people, not corruption, we have to be free. So I understand just like that. आपका हिंदी मैं क्या बोलना चाहता हूँ कि आपको ये देश में जो करप्शन हो रहा है ये उसको बंद करना चाहिए. इसको अभी थोड़ी बाद में और देश की जैसे होता है ना फ्रीडम लीगल रूप में चलते हैं ना वैसा ही होना चाहिए. उसके बाद ये देश ऊपर जाएगा. और स्टूडेंट को मारना नहीं चाहिए. किसी को भी मारने का हक किसी को भी नहीं. अगर मारना है तो इसके अंदर से थोड़ा थोड़ा गोली चलाना पड़ेगा.
I spoke to one of the ministers, Prithvi Gurung, this morning. He told me that KP Sharma Oli, the Prime Minister, will not resign. How do you react to that?
I react to that like why he is not resigning, what he is doing in Nepal. What about the law and order which is going on in Nepal now? You are seeing the live scenario what is going on at the straight away from the parliament of Nepal, and people are so aggressive here. The youngsters are here, right? And don't they think about they are the future generation of this country and they are going to make this country, right? And why they are doing this? They don't have to see the youngsters what they are asking for. They are just taking our fundamental rights.
All right.
Fundamental speech.
All right.
How can a minister can restrict social media here and just by saying that they are not registered with the internet laws of government? This is not right.
All right, this is not right. These are the latest very angry opinion coming from the youth of Nepal saying that the social media was banned. That led to not just a cry. Small business owners and influencers, but daily life got impacted for people. And this was a draconian measure by the Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli. And apart from that, the corruption charges that have been leveled against him. If Prem can pan and show you, these are the, anti-riot gear, police of the Nepal police that has been deployed here all across the, the parliament complex, across the neighboring area. And if we can move a little further, there's been massive stone pelting in this area. There are tires that have been burning and hundreds and hundreds of protesters who have converged here who say that this violent protest will continue. The youth are rising here in Nepal for a regime change and perhaps want a transparent and a government that is for the people and not an elitist government that actually remains in their elite towers and palaces and in fact does not bring any transparency. So the protest here only continues. We are continuously bringing you live visuals from this protest area. This is the main area just meters away from the Nepal Parliament. Prem is showing you that exact complex next to the barricade is the Nepal Parliament where in fact the army has been deployed. In fact, more forces and ambulances you can see that are coming in this area, even as the APF, the anti-riot gear police has been stationed here. Every passing minute, the amount of people that are coming here to protest is only increasing. So very, very, dramatic visuals coming on your screens of the deployment of the APF, but also people who are demanding justice, who are demanding action, who are saying that there needs to be accountability at the highest level. There has been joblessness, there has been, complete economic downturn, and the responsibility is with the Prime Minister of the country.
It also seems, while you were speaking to those protesters, it also seems years of frustration building up with the political instability in Nepal. These are some live visuals coming in from clashes which are taking place between the protesters and the security forces in some parts of Kathmandu, the capital, where my colleague Aditya Rajkol is on the ground reporting from. Take a look at these as tear gas shells are being lobbed, tires being burnt on the other hand as well. Aditya, very quickly, let me ask you this. Is this entire protest, just be careful where you are standing, Aditya, be at a safe distance because it's a very volatile situation there as well. Let me also very quickly ask you, is this concentrated in Kathmandu? Is it spreading to other cities as well?
Well, yes, certainly. The focus could be on Kathmandu because this is the capital city, because the parliament is here. But this is spread all across from Pokhara to Birganj to other places where people are protesting. The youth are protesting. You can see tires are being burned, and through tires being burned, the entire area is being blockaded in many ways. The protesters are trying to show that the protest is not over. The resignation of the Home Minister is not enough. There need to be many measures taken by the government for accountability and for transparency. You can see this massive burning of the tires that is taking place, massive barricading that has been done by the protesters out here. Situation very grim, very volatile. Every passing minute outside the Nepal parliament, there have been reports that there's been some planning of yet again intruding inside the parliament very forcefully, and that's why you can see, apart from this, tires burning, etc., visuals that are coming in, there's massive deployment of the security forces also that has taken place. If I can move a little further towards the Nepal parliament, you can see this massive barricade and you can see the security forces. I'll ask Prem to give you a round view of this entire location, from the barricades and the empty road right outside the Nepal parliament to the deployment of the security forces on the entire stretch of this boundary wall in each and every corner. You can see the Nepal police, you can see the APF, and you can see the army and the paramilitary that is in full force out here. So clearly, very, very dramatic visuals of the way situation is right now. You can see slowly and steadily the protesters are inching closer towards the parliament. Live visuals coming on your screen only on NDTV, where you can see the protesters slowly and steadily trying to break the barricades, trying to actually move the APF personnel and the Nepal police a little further and entering the main chowk area right outside the Nepal parliament. It seems that in the next few minutes, or perhaps in the next couple of hours, the move could be to enter the parliament yet again, just like the visuals came in yesterday. There were a lot of killings, there were tear gas shells also fired, and that as a result, more than 500 people are in the hospital across Kathmandu. But here, right behind me, the clashes are not stopping, the anger is not stopping. The protesters are saying that they will continue to protest as much as possible till there is pressure to that level to the Nepal government, that there is resignation at the highest level. That's the topmost demand right now. They're saying that international media is reporting on the social media ban, but that's not their main concern. Their main concern is transparency, accountability, economic measures, and also a regime change, a positive democratic regime change through the resignation of the Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli. The government, on the other hand, is defiant. They're saying that they will not resign, they will not succumb to the pressure of the protesters because there are anarchists who are part of this protest. But you can see now action live on your screen. Protesters have broken the barricade and are marching ahead towards the parliament. Live visuals on your screens of clashes erupting between the security forces and the forces are moving ahead towards the parliament. There are stones being pelted towards the security forces. We are trying to move a little back to avoid the clashes here, but the protesters are moving closer
vote to
towards
keep
the
your
parliament,
backs towards the security forces, because there is stone pelting going on towards from the protesters as well.
Yes.
Very quickly, we are also getting information that the Prime Minister has called for an all-party meeting, and he has also called these students for dialogue.
That's right. In fact, the Prime Minister has called an all-party meeting. When I spoke to Prithvi Gurung, the Information Minister of Nepal, he had confirmed to me that the Prime Minister will be meeting all political parties. He also said that he has offered to meet the protesters and the leaders of the protest. But the big question here is that who is the leader of this protest? This is a sporadic protest that is happening, spontaneous protest that's happening. You can see the protesters climbing the main chalk area entirely. There are tires burning all across, and there are hundreds and hundreds of protesters holding the Nepalese flag, demanding justice, demanding accountability from the government, and saying that such corruption and such lackadaisical approach from the government cannot be tolerated when there are hundreds of people who are completely jobless and do not have any kind of measures in place from the Nepal government. So as of now, there's a complete wall that has been created by the Nepal police, and of course at the same time from the APF, the paramilitary police. They're trying to barricade the area where the entrance of the Nepal parliament really is. But you can also see the anger slowly and steadily from the back alleys and narrow alleys. The protesters have now reached the main area, which is just barely walking distance and merely meters away from the main entrance of the parliament. So we'll have to wait and watch whether there will be a breach yet again, because remember, while there is Nepal police and the paramilitary forces outside, inside the parliament, the army has been deployed. So right here, if I can show you, there's a barricade here. there is the paramilitary personnel that have been deployed here. But right there, if I can ask Prem to move with me here, I will actually take you to a location where we can possibly see the parliament, and just to give viewers a glimpse of what's happening in this entire location. You can see this is the entrance that I'm walking towards. This is the main entry of the Nepal parliament, and this is the area where there has been a barbed wire that has just been installed. You can see just behind this barbed wire is an entire force, which is the Nepal army that has been deployed inside the parliament. These are live exclusive visuals coming on your screen of barricading that's been done, the barbed wires. Behind the barbed wires, there is the Nepal army, and behind the Nepal army is the building of the Nepal parliament that was breached yesterday and stormed yesterday. So these are exclusive visuals of the measures that have been taken by the Nepal government and the Nepali security forces out here. But here you can see they have breached yet again. The protesters have breached the barricades. They are storming inside towards the main gate of the parliament. You can see slowly and steadily they are running and walking towards the main gate of the parliament. A lot of noise here, a lot of chant, a lot of slogans against the government. The barricades being broken here. You can see the way the police is not trying to stop them. The police is not trying to clash in such manner. We heard Prithvi Gurung in an interview to NDTV also earlier clarify that there will be no force used against the protesters. You can see the force also now running with the people towards the main gate of this particular area. So it seems that the clashes are imminent between the protesters and the Nepal police and the paramilitary force that has been deployed. People are breaking the barricades and running towards the main gate of the parliament, which is just about 40 or 50 steps from where I am standing right now. There is heavy measures that have been taken. There are three levels of security that have been deployed at the Nepal parliament. One is, of course, the Nepal police, second, the paramilitary, and third is the Nepal army, which is inside the premises of the Nepal parliament. So very dramatic visuals, not just from Kathmandu, but from all across Nepal, where we can see, visuals of some. Now tear gas has been fired at the protesters.